The Lord's really touched him and given him a story, so I'd like you guys to welcome back Rich Colon.
Please have a seat, share a word with me. Let's explore our thoughts, let's cut the tea. Because everything would be so much better if we could just get through this together. Okay. Ooh, cordless. I like this. Okay. Well, I'm still kind of psyched up from that worship. That was good worship, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll just get right into it. I am going to share a story. It's kind of easier for me to kind of give the word to you guys from my point of view. So, I'm just going to tell you exactly how it happened for me. Okay, so, this happened probably around Christmas time, December. Now, just to give you my little history real quick, I've been a Christian for a very long time. Very, very long time. But I always kind of took it for granted, you know, like God's there, God will do this, God will do that, God will forgive me if I ever do wrong. So I never really had any questions for God, like ever really challenged him. Well, after I got older, you go to school and you kind of hear everybody talking like, well, what? Well, if God's so real, how can you do this? How can you do that? You know what I mean? Well, that kind of started eating away at me around Christmas time. And I never stopped believing that God was there, but I guess I just never put things in his hands. So one night I was reading my Bible, and I do what a lot of people do. I kind of do this one right here. And I just kind of take off reading from there. Well, when I did that night, it was kind of, I felt a little more magnetized when I pointed. Like this. And, when I did it, I landed in the book of Job, which is a really good book, especially for the things I was going through at the time. Challenging God, asking all these questions that I knew only God could have the answers to. The best scientists in the world try their whole lifetime to try to figure it out and still can't answer it. It's only for God to understand. Well, at the time, I'm the person that gets up with bravery and it's like, well, God, why don't you do this? So I start reading, and the book of Job, kind of the part where I landed in, is where God is kind of unleashing all of his rebuttals onto Job. He's saying, well, you challenged me, well, this is what I'm going to challenge you with. So the part that I open up to is Job 38:32, and he's challenging him like this. He says, can you direct the sequence of seasons, or guide a bear with her cubs across the heavens? Do you know the laws of my universe, and can you use them to regulate the earth? And as soon as I read that, it kind of struck a chord with me. Like I stopped, and I just felt my heart kind of pounding, like you know you're supposed to read that. You know what I mean? Like you come across one of those verses that's like, you kind of stop, and you have to like look around, like you think God is right there, right then. You know what I mean? Like standing next to you, like read it. So I felt like that was exactly for me. So I just kept reading, and it goes on for a while. If you read the book of Job, he goes on for a while just asking these questions. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? You know? And it finally comes to the point, I start crying. Because I'm like, God, why did I ever challenge you? God, why did I, why can't I get it through my head? Well, it kind of comes to the point, and Job kind of reached the point that I reached when I was reading it. I was kind of Job at that moment. And he kind of reached the point where he says this, he goes, I know that you can do anything, and no one can stop you. You asked, who is it that questions my wisdom with such ignorance? It is I. And I was talking about things I knew nothing about, things too wonderful for me. If you kind of think about that for a second, that right there should just completely stop any questions you ever want to ask. Ever. Because we are simply, no other way to put it, we're talking about things we know nothing about. As humans, it's kind of easy to just kind of take things and run with it, and our imagination kind of goes wild. But we just got to stop that. And part of it, I wrote here in my notes, I said, Job submits. And now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of funny, because submits is kind of leaping out at me. We have to just humble ourselves enough to submit to God. Well, I keep reading, and I kind of come to the point where it's in here. He goes, Job 42:6, he says this, I take back everything I said, and I sit in the dust of ashes to show my repentance. You kind of gotta, there's no kind of about it, actually. You have to do that. You have to take yourself down a level and stop. And you have to say, you know what? I know nothing about what you do, but that's what makes you God, and that's what makes me me. You know? And you have to just be able to, like he said, sit in the dust and ashes and show your repentance. You got to take yourself down completely to where you belong. Because there's one God, and he knows everything, and we don't. So that kind of lead me to the final little wrap up about this. It's my little story. I'm thinking, and I kind of just stopped after I read that, and I wiped my tears up, and I was done. I said, you know, like how can I do what Job did, and how can I really fully stop without having to play any games and just act like I'm doing it and act like I'm trusting God? For my own peace of mind and my own heart, how can I really do this? How can I stop and say, you know, God, I give everything to you? And there's only one word for it. It's faith. You got to have faith that God knows the answer to everything before you even know what the question is. And without faith, you're not going to be able to do that, because faith ties in with everything. We have to be able to relax and kind of breathe easy and know that God is going to take care of everything. We give it up to him. We come to it. We come to him with it. We say, you know, God, I can't do this. It's yours. And from there, he goes, you know what? He takes it. He says, I'm going to handle this. You don't worry about it anymore. Okay? Well, you got to have faith to do that, because if you don't have faith to let God do it, he's not going to do it. You can say you did it, and you can say, God, I give it to you. But if you keep trying to take care of it your own way, you're not letting him do it. You have to really stop, submit, and have faith. And know, you have to humble yourself, have faith, and really give it over to him and put it in God's hands, and things will start happening. So I guess the point of my message, the reason why I want to talk, is because lately I've been praying a lot about faith. And I just kind of want to challenge everybody, because I know there's something that everybody has. I still do it from time to time, and as humans we're not going to escape it. But the only thing that I ask myself of, and I kind of challenge everybody out here with, is to try to do the same for yourself. If you ever are praying and you get one of those questions in your head, or you ever find yourself in a situation where you're getting too cocky and you say, well, let me do this, and you know the job is way too big for you to handle, which should happen a lot, you just pray, give it up to God, and rest assured. And make sure you have enough faith in your heart and let God handle it. And please believe me, it will be done.